It's the final day of baseball algorithm podcast. I am excited about that. And I'm not wagering on any games today. So this is it right here. This is the video, folks. Updated the file and just we'll do podcast form. I like podcast form better than technical form. So this big, huge thing I spent a lot of years building when I was hanging out taking care of my grandpa, who was a baseball fan in his mid to late 90s. And we would watch baseball and I would criticize his picks because he would tell me teams to picks and they were not good most of the time, even though he knew a lot of stuff and his mind was clear. But I tried to build this to prove him wrong and to have something that predicts games well. And I've sold a bunch of these over several years, and it's just exhausting to do every day. So I can't commit to it, but you can definitely do it in spurts. I like working on different topics for a short period of time and then moving on to something else. Brain likes that. So updated baseball, and I made a couple changes that you should know about for those that just got the email with a copy of the file, and also anybody who's going to be buying a copy if they want to try to pick it up in the middle of the season and update this thing, which you can do. So I made some changes, and that is I am only going with 2023 batting stats from now on. So we removed 2022 batting stats from the situation. We could actually delete the column completely. And you're going to see that this is the number we're using now, which comes from 2023, which means that I got rid of all the last year's stats. So you're just getting a current look at the season. It gives you a weird little advantage earlier in the year because people are still operating off of last season sometimes when there's very few games that have started the current season. You're like, oh, Houston won the World Series last year, so they're going to be really good. They dropped a couple games to Detroit and the White Sox right off the bat. So the point is you want to look at the current season because it gives you a weird look of recency bias, but it is a brand new year, and I feel like a new season, after time off, it does matter how you're playing, even though, of course, people will adjust their play and go on streaks in both directions throughout the year. So, point is, here's the cool thing. So, I updated it and I'm using combo 148, which is the one that did the best yesterday with a nice even distribution. And so, what I told you is, this robot that runs itself and spits out answers gives you something like this. And I talked in theory about how to bet yesterday, and I keep saying, well, you know what? Things at the top win, and the order matters. And I want to give you a cutoff percentage, but I'm not comfortable telling you what it is because we keep changing distributions all the time. So what I decided to do is just keep with this logic of really, really simply. Yeah, the Angels are a bad line, but it also says they're going to win. They have the biggest margin. So in terms of how it would say to play this game, it says take the Angels to win, bet for them maybe to win by more than a couple runs or something. The score of that game is supposed to be 8-3 because Corbin is going. That's why. It's Corbin. Corbin is a weird situation. I only know this being a native here in DC area and also understanding his situation is he helped them win a championship. They won the World Series a few years ago. Actually, that was the last year my grandpa was alive. I remember him cheering when they won. I was watching that game with him in Florida, actually. So that was like a couple years ago, right? Like anyway, point is 2-3. So something like that. It was he got them to a championship, and they keep starting him every year as like the opening day starter and stuff, kind of like as a tip to the hat to the guy. But his ERA is an absolute disaster, and he's been getting rocked for the last couple of years, basically, since that happened. So this is one weird situation where they are playing a pitcher who's going to get hit based on all historical stats and logic about what happened here. Something just happened. He got whatever. He just doesn't have it anymore. It's pretty clear. They talk about it on the radio all the time. They're like, we all remember celebrating, and he's a good guy, but why are we throwing him out here to get rocked every opening day from now on? Like, do we have to keep doing that? So I know what is happening here. So I understand now why the Angels are a number one pick. Now, because the line is bad, because the line is minus 240, and betting should be about making money and being wise with your money and selective. is you see that what's really supposed to happen there is that the Angels are supposed to get runs. And this game is in LA, in Anaheim. And so what that means is, yeah, like whatever the team runs are on LA, that line you'll get at like minus 120 or something, the over 4.5, 5.5 runs or whatever it's going to be, they're going to put it at. But that's really, 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 really likely based on the way Corbin pitches. Because not only do the Angels have to run into a Corbin that for some reason pitches great on the road, but there's no reason he should, but also the bullpen of the Nats, which is 5.4, also has to come up huge for some reason. Doesn't make any sense. Makes sense that there's a lot of runs probably in this game, but in general for the Angels. So the algorithm is saying it'd love to take the Angels to win, but it really likes the Angels putting up, look at that, the most runs of all on the list. So I'm talking about looking top down at this list, and I'm like, pick the stuff at the top. Well, the team with the most runs, if we sorted this by projected runs, is the Angels. So that's probably the bet there. Now, Texas over Kansas City. The power is not very strong, but what does that game say? It says 5-3. Says that Kansas City's not hitting at all. And it's a pretty good pitching matchup, though. Greinke is a pretty good pitcher. So that's why the power situation is kind of low there. So this is where I start to argue with the algorithm, which is I'm like, well, what it's telling me and what it's trying to overrule my thought process is I'm like, well, you got two decent pitchers here in this game. So why would this be a number 2 pick of the day if there's a chance that Greinke pitches a really good game and stops Texas, a team that's kind of hitting okay. Their BABIP's actually 29%. They're hitting much better than Kansas City. So it says that in this close pitching duel, Texas does win. So I'll try not to fight it because I say just listen to the algorithm. But you can see their power isn't, but nobody's power is good here. Yeah, interesting. So anyway, well, I'm just gonna listen to it. Like, let me stop arguing because that's what I built this for. Atlanta over Cincinnati, Boston over Tampa Bay. Why? That's where you get the big underdog because Tampa Bay is playing amazing. So what's going on there? That's probably the game to watch of the night for some reason. So the Boston Tampa Bay game where it says take Boston because Pivetta, okay, because Fleming's ERA last year was bad. Has Fleming pitched this year yet? He has, and his ERA was 15. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Makes the Boston the number 1 pick of the day if you use Josh Fleming's 2023 pitching stats. Oh my goodness. Well, we won't do that, but we will keep that in the back of our mind, knowing that this ERA is pretty accurate given how bad his first start was. So that's why you can have Boston. So Boston team runs, maybe. No, it's only 4-3. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to change this number back to a decimal number. It's easier to read this way, in my opinion. It's not easier to compare to the rest of the day, but it's easier to read this way. So the Boston game has them winning 4.5 to 2.6. Says they can put up some runs. Says they beat a really good Tampa Bay team. Makes sense that Tampa Bay, which has both these teams are hitting pretty well according to BABIP, but the lineup factor is much stronger for Tampa Bay. So this could be a higher scoring game, oddly enough. But Boston apparently can win because Fleming can get hit, and that's why that's on there. So, I mean, I hope I'm communicating how you read this thing. There's some underdogs down here, but stuff with really low margins at the bottom of the list is not where I'm going to tell you to focus because that's not the way this is supposed to work. It's the largest disparity in margin are supposed to be the games that you win the most. So it goes down to about these 5, 4 of which are favorites. Angels, Baltimore. Yeah, Oakland's terrible. So it gives anybody the nod over Oakland right now. And that Baltimore would also hit a lot of runs. So I'd probably say that these 5 are about where it says to focus because that's top down, right? It stops right around Houston, Dodgers, Miami, these 5. All right. So that's the summer update. All right, guys, if you want to purchase a 1-day copy, you can by following the link in the description. Go to kenbraverman.com. and you can purchase a 1-day copy, which I'll probably prepare that day for you if no one's bought it. If someone's bought it, I'll just be able to send it to you. But I don't sell too many of these throughout the year. I know it's $100, it's a lot, but it's for those who want to take it and want to start updating it, following all the tutorials and learning how it works and updating it yourself and refreshing so that you're confident doing that in all the sheets. I've done enough videos that you can figure it out, and it's for you guys, and it is an undertaking. So that's why it's $100. I want you to know what you're getting into. Is it's not just a 1-day thing that's generated. It's something you can keep monitoring. So that's how you do it, guys. That's summer baseball. I'm on to other stuff, all kinds of stuff. I did a video about Social Security taxable wage amounts because I did a bunch of work on the tax file. There's so much going on. All right, guys. Good luck, everyone. Have a good summer with baseball. May all your picks be winning.